Hey boys and girls, it's great to be back with you here on Kids TV. I haven't been here for quite some time and I've missed you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sonia and I had a real privilege recently of going on a trip to a country called Kenya. That's why I'm dressed like this today. I visited lots of different people in Kenya, and on one of the days I went to a community that is a Maasai community in Kenya, and they gave me these lovely, beautiful gifts when I arrived. I've got this shawl and I've got this beautiful necklace that the people made there for me. It must have taken them ages, mustn't it? Well, why did I go to Kenya? It wasn't just a holiday. I went to Kenya with a group of other church leaders from the UK with Compassion. You may have heard of Compassion. We're learning all about Compassion and their work today. If you've been around a while in Kerith Kids, you'll know that we sponsor two children, Deo, who lives in Uganda, and Alondra, who lives in Nicaragua. Compassion is a charity, and people all across the world give money in sponsoring a child. So Compassion pair up somebody like Kerith Kids with a child somewhere like Deo or Alondra, and they pair them up and they become pen pals. And us, our Kerith Kids, when we bring our money on Sundays, we sponsor, that money goes towards sponsoring Deo and Alondra. And people all over the world do that for different children. Now, in every single country, including here in the UK, there are people who have lots of material wealth. There's people that have 2 or 3 cars, 5 televisions, a massive big house. I even have a friend who's got a swimming pool in their garden. I also know people here in the UK who don't have as much materially. They don't have as much money. Sometimes when I'm walking through the town, I see people who are sleeping rough because they don't have a home. And just like here in the UK, there are people that have a lot and there are people that have little. That's the same in many countries across the world. And Compassion is about releasing poverty for children. So that means that children who are living in the poorest of circumstances, Compassion want to help them, give them a hand to help them up out of that situation of poverty, of not having much money.
We just celebrated my son's 3rd birthday and it was wonderful. The day of his birthday, my husband and I went to his room and we told him that we have a special surprise for him. And when he came down from the stairs, his eyes lit up. My name is Amor and I grew up poor in the Philippines. My parents were loving and kind, but there are many days when we didn't have enough money for food and our basic needs, let alone for things like new clothes, school supplies, or birthday presents. Poverty is really the lack of hope that tomorrow will be better than today. I remember even as a child being aware of how poor we were, which is why I'll never forget the best birthday gift I've ever received. My mom was so excited to hand me a wrapped gift, and I was so happy. I opened it immediately and I saw the best dress I've ever seen. Instead of saying thank you, I asked my mom how much she spent on it because I did not want them to spend all of our money for food on this gift for me. But my mother said, Amor, your sponsor Aaron sent you a money for birthday gift, and your Compassion Center helped me pick up the perfect gift for you. I love that dress. I was so proud to have something so nice that I wore that dress when I was honored as the top student in my 3rd grade class. It may not have been a big deal for my sponsor to send me a birthday gift, but for me, it made me feel proud. It made me feel a sense of self-worth that matched what I was always told by my pastor and my Compassion teachers. They always reminded me, you have a beautiful future ahead of you. You have hope ahead of you because God has a beautiful plan for your life. So to my sponsor, Aaron, and to each and every sponsor who gives a gift to make their sponsor child feel so special on his or her birthday, thank you. You are helping a child know what it feels like to live in the promise of God, that He has a future and a hope for all who trust in Him. And you are helping mothers and fathers to celebrate their children and to provide for them in a way that every parent wishes they could. God bless you for helping children feel like they have more than enough.
Hey, I was feeling a little bit hot in my beautiful cloak, and I thought I'd come outside because it's such a beautiful day and I'd bring you with me. Now, when I talk about not having much money, I don't mean, you know, when you go to the shops and you're saying to your parents, oh, please, can I have that latest toy? And they say to you, no, we don't have enough pennies today for that. I'm not talking about that kind of no money. I'm talking about people who have such a little amount of money that they maybe don't have any money at all. They don't even know where their next meal is coming from. I can't imagine what that must feel like. Well, when I was in Kenya, I got to visit some of the homes of the children and young people that Compassion help there through the local churches. It was such a privilege to be able to go and see them and meet some of their family. One of the days I went to the home of Monique. Monique's a little bit older than some of you. She's 15 now. She's been involved in the project since she was quite young. She lives in a home with her 4 older brothers and sisters, her mum, and there's also 3 toddlers now in the family, which means that her mum is now a grandma. Now you might think that's not that unusual. 3 generations living together in a home. It's a lot of people, sure, but it's not that unusual. Well, it is when I tell you that her home was just one space, which was no bigger than my own bathroom. Now, in that space, there's no separate kitchen, there's no separate toilet and bathroom, there's no running water. But it's a home that is safe at the moment for her and her family. And they're really grateful for this home. They cook on a little camping stove in the middle of this space. And because there's not much space, the ceiling was a little bit higher than my bathroom. And they have all these boxes and tubs, and they put all their belongings in those and hang them from the ceiling, which is a really creative way to make space. But in meeting Monique, I found out how the project from Compassion has helped her and her family. She's been able to learn skills, computing skills, and also beauty therapy skills. She's now wanting to go to college to learn about how to become a beauty therapist. She wants to do beautician work and hairdressing work to be able to earn her own money. She's learnt the skills for that through being part of the Compassion Project at the local church. Now, in Kenya and all the different places around the world, it is the local churches, just like our Kerith Community Church, that looks after these children in the Compassion Projects. It's volunteers, just like our volunteers at things like our food bank at Kerith, that help these children and their whole families help themselves out of their situation. Like I said, Monique has learnt skills which will enable her one day to be able to earn her own money. She doesn't want handouts for the rest of her life. She just wants a helping hand up. And that's what the Compassion Projects do. Through being part of that Compassion Project in her local church, she has been able to receive healthy meals, where every time she's at the church she gets a nutritious, healthy meal. Her whole family have benefited because they've been educated through this project. She's learnt new skills, she's had school uniforms, she's had books, she's had a friendly person to talk to. When she's had medical problems, they've helped her get in touch with the local hospitals and helped her receive the care that she's needed. And so has that happened for the rest of her family as well. She loves having her letters from her sponsor. She loves hearing from her sponsor. And I've heard from somebody else when I was on this trip how much the sponsor letters meant to them. There was one person I met who, can you believe this, had never ever been told that they were loved by their own family. They'd never told them, I love you. And then they'd received a letter from a stranger somewhere else in the world that said, do you know what? I love you and I'm praying for you. And that was really, really, really special for that young person. Something that they remember even though they're much older now. So the projects, the money that we bring isn't about physically giving our money straight to Deo and Alondra. We don't hand them like a big pile of coins or a big pile of cash. We don't do that. But the money goes to Compassion, who give that money to local churches, just like our one, to help people in need and help them help themselves out of their situation. But there's one more thing that is so important at the heart of everything that happens. So many of the children and young people and those who've grown up now into adulthood that I met in Kenya through Compassion told me how grateful they were, not just for the help, but because they have now met Jesus, and Jesus is now their personal best friend and saviour. You see, helping other people like this is something that God calls us to do. Jesus said that when we don't help other people, it's like not helping him. So when we do help people, it's like helping him. We do it in his name. And it's such an amazing privilege to do this with him. Not only to help people, but to help people know him. That's at the heart of everything that Compassion do. And I hope that when you bring your pennies in the future, you'll remember that. You're not just helping people practically, but you're helping them to know our very best friend, Jesus.